Hello and welcome back to the Villa Filler podcast. I'm here as always with my good friend Dan Wiseman. Dan, Jaden Philogene Bidace has returned. And he's not the only one. Cam Archer's returned since we've sort of last spoke as well. Officially, he's back. This podcast specifically is going to be about Jaden Philogene Bidace because this is, I think, without trying to oversell it, I think this is probably one of the most exciting done deals of Villa's transfer window so far, mate.
I I really, really like this. I'm really, really happy about this. We are getting the band back together. It's pretty crazy, the kind of trajectory that these two players have really been on, because obviously I know we'll make this about Philogene Bidace, but just to kind of top the bill, that I think if you'd had asked me maybe this time last year, maybe 18 months ago, kind of which one of the two players would I consider to A, have the higher ceiling, and B, probably be more excited about coming back to Villa in a year's time, 18 months' time, I probably would have said Cam Archer. I don't know if that's because we've kind of struggled with that striker position in the squad, like who's going to kind of play that backup role to Ollie, but I just really, really felt like he had a high ceiling. He'd just come off those two really, really successful loans at Preston and Borough. And whilst, JPB had that really, really exciting pre-season last year, and has had some good moments, in a Villa shirt generally, it was kind of Cam Archer whose stock I was probably more heavily invested in. And obviously it's been difficult for Cam Archer to shine in that Sheffield United team, but I mean, the rise of Jaden Philogene, it felt like during the season, kind of every week you were checking the timelines and it was coming up and he'd done something outrageous, and he was kind of putting together this beautiful season that kind of built to that crescendo moment with the Rabona against Rotherham, which has been shown kind of all around the world and halfway around again. It's crazy the rise that he's been on. And so for us to act pretty swiftly, because whether it's instigated by his agent or not, there's certainly been a lot of interest in him this summer. And so for us to kind of swoop in there and, not wait to see if anyone else wanted to test the waters, to get it done ourselves is very, very sensible indeed.
The agent's been a bit of he's kind of stolen the limelight in the transfer window, hasn't he, mate? He's allegedly, I don't know who to believe of the whole Barcelona stunt that was pulled. I think personally, I am actually inclined to believe that there maybe was a conversation, but not necessarily anything solid, and that Barcelona were maybe saving face by saying that his agent was sort of there for a publicity stunt. But also at the same time, I can't imagine anybody rejecting Barcelona, even with them in their current state, and that's with air quotes, because they're Barcelona. They've still got money. They're still Barcelona. Nevertheless, this is really important. And I think what's really impressed me, mate, is how we've been doing business since Monchi and Unai have sort of came in and taken that wheel, for want of a better expression, because we've sold Jaden for 12 months ago for £5 million. And I think you and I have both probably sat here, mate, and thought probably could have got a little bit more. However, big sell-on clause inserted, 30% is the alleged sell-on clause. And, we both sort of said, look, he's, relatively inexperienced. He's had his 2 loan spells at Cardiff and at Stoke. But, so many academy players, you can never really guess the trajectory. As you said, mate, Cam was the more likely out of a lot of our departures last summer, that we thought, yeah, we'll see this guy back and he's going to have a big impact on the team. So for Jaden to go and do what he did and, notch up 12 goals and 6 assists in the Championship, in probably one of the best, if not the best, Championship sides to bottle promotion in Hull. They had a super team in that division, and Jaden was sort of the heart and soul of that. Had a really solid start to the season and then sort of tapered off a little bit. I think there was a few knocks here and there, but the fact that we've sold him for 5 mil, we've had a matching rights clause, which I never really fully understood, to be honest, because anybody can surely match a bid. I don't necessarily understand the intricacies of how that aspect of the deal works, but we've ended up getting Jaden for only 13 million because of that sell-on clause that we just mentioned. for one of the Championship's premier talents, somebody who's a homegrown player as well, which is important because we don't have too many of those, and we need at least 4 to make the Champions League, the UEFA regulations for the squad. This is possibly the easiest bit of business, metaphorically, that we could have done, and we've got it done.
And it speaks to one of the other deals that has kind of been done, I think, since we've kind of been away, mate, is the Barkley deal, in that you're signing a player who doesn't need really that bedding in time, that knows the players, that knows the squad, that knows the building, knows the staff, knows the guys around the training ground, knows what it feels like to play at Villa Park. There's not that bedding in process that, we've seen even like the more elite talents to come and link up with the squad in recent years. Leon Bailey, Yuri Tielemans to an extent, Moussa Diaby, all took a different amount of time. Well, in Moussa Diaby's case, I think it's fair to say he's still getting used to the Premier League and to playing for Aston Villa. You imagine that process, it's kind of a plug and play signing, which I think when you're competing at the levels that we're getting to a point where you're signing better and better players, but the amount of time which you're probably willing to give them to bed in is getting shorter and shorter. We want to still be competing on domestic fronts and on Champions League fronts. We need players that, particularly, I think Jaden Philogene, if he's someone that you're going to run out in the 3:00 Saturday games at Villa Park, that you can just put out there and trust that you're going to get a performance from. And I think we can do that. And I think it will be interesting to kind of see just what level he comes in at. And I think that's the same with Cameron Archer as well. I think it'd be interesting to kind of see just how much of that flair or that flamboyance that we saw at Hull, how much of that was because, as you say, mate, he was the main man in that team, or is that now just his general play style? I think it'd be really good to get a good look at him in pre-season. Obviously, that's where he was really, really bright last season, particularly on that tour of the States. I think you could probably, I remember Emi Buendia looks really, really good as well, which is a shame. But I think after that, I think he was probably one of our most impressive players from that pre-season. I think quite a few people had an eyebrow raised when we saw him go out on loan. And so I'm really, really excited to get a good look at him this year. We've got a lot of exciting opportunities, a lot of exciting teams to try them out against. But yeah, this is a fantastic signing. And what's good about these two players is that we're not just buying them back because we can or we have to, as I think it kind of felt with the Cam Archer deal. It kind of felt like with that signing, there was maybe less of a choice in us buying him back than there was JPB. I know there were rumours that, if Sheffield United did go down, then we were obliged to buy him back for a certain fee. And so how true those are, it's gone ahead and happened, so we can kind of make our own minds up on that. But they both address really important aspects of the squad. I think we definitely needed another body, another out-and-out winger in those wide positions. And with Cam, we definitely needed another number 9 through the middle. And so it's fantastic that not only are we getting these two guys back, they're not causing further selection headaches. They're actually kind of bolstering the squad that in areas that we, A, needed, and B, are we satisfied in those positions now? I think you can make that argument. If we went into the season with Cameron Archer as our backup number 9 and with JPB as an option on the wings, do we desperately need to go out and spend another 30, 40 million in those positions? I'm inclined to say no. And so, yeah, the fact that we've addressed two massive areas in the squad for really cut price fees, and as you say, mate, it helps with all those homegrown quotas and everything like that. It is a bulletproof deal.
Absolutely. I think it depends. At the time of recording, we don't really know where the land lays with Moussa Diaby and his proposed move to Saudi. So I think, if that happens, then you can only look at this deal as, I think it only gets better, really, because if you sell a Diaby for 65, 70 million pounds, you essentially double your money, and you've brought in a replacement who we are familiar with for, over half what we paid for Moussa in the first place. And I think that will be quite a popular opinion amongst a lot of Villa fans. So, yeah, guys, you just have to let us know your thoughts on this deal in the comment section down below. Very exciting. Everything's happening. It's so fast. There's been so many players through the door already, mate, and it's great that we're getting all of our ducks in order so early. I think the next exciting thing now really is just the kit, mate, isn't it? We're just waiting on that. But yeah, guys, let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Rate this transfer out of 10. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. Love the Villa.